What secret lies hidden in the date of June 21st? And what is its connection with the unseen gates of the earth and sky? What I'm about to tell you now, listen very carefully. Our Earth revolves around the Sun at a speed of approximately 30 kilometers per second, and it takes 365 days to complete one orbit around the Sun. This duration is what we call a year, the time it takes for Earth to complete one full circle around the Sun. But besides orbiting the Sun, Earth also spins on its own axis, and this rotation is the reason why we experience day and night. But during Earth's orbit around the Sun, there are 4 very special days that occur every year on the exact same dates and times. One of these days is when Earth tilts toward the Sun, and another is when it tilts away from it. Between these 2 moments, there are 2 days when the Earth is perfectly balanced, tilting neither forward nor backward. Because of Earth's tilt in its orbit around the Sun, we experience 4 distinct days that have only recently been understood. But what's astonishing is that some people recognized these days thousands of years ago. Because these 4 days are special, they bring the change of seasons to Earth. The first special day is September 23rd, when the Earth stands perfectly straight. From this day onward, autumn begins, and we call this day the autumn equinox. After that, the Earth gradually starts tilting away from the Sun, and the cold season begins to intensify, until December 21st, when the Earth is at its maximum tilt away from the Sun. This is the shortest day of the year, December 21st, which we call the winter solstice. After that, Earth begins tilting back toward the Sun again, and once more on March 20th, the Earth finds itself in perfect balance, neither tilted forward nor backward. And then, spring begins on Earth, and something else very special happens on this day. Day and night are exactly equal in duration. This event is called the spring equinox, meaning equal night, where day and night are of the same length. Then the Earth gradually starts tilting toward the Sun, and June 21st is that special day when the Earth is most tilted toward the Sun. This day is called the summer solstice, and because the Earth is tilted directly toward the Sun on that day, the Sun stays visible the longest. June 21st becomes the longest day of the year. Thousands of years ago, some people identified these 4 special days. They viewed them as thresholds of transition, a time when one phase shifts into another. But they also knew that these 4 days were more than just seasonal shifts. They believed these were days when 2 worlds connected. And I will show you proof of this. One such festival celebrated on June 21st, the summer solstice, is Midsummer, a festival with seemingly innocent rituals like wearing flower crowns or lighting bonfires. But the real story behind it, I'm about to share with you. I told you that in the Midsummer festival, European girls wear flower crowns or sleep with flowers under their pillows. This appears to be a simple and innocent tradition, but its origins go back to pre-Christian times, and the story is found in centuries-old Baltic mythology. It's quite fascinating. According to folklore, centuries ago, our ancestors noticed that on the day the Sun stayed longest in the sky, a strange and beautiful flower appeared around sunset. But it was extremely hard to find. Those who saw it described it as initially yellow, then turning red shortly afterward. Similar reports have come from many European countries. A flower that didn't belong to their land, that didn't grow in their forests, a flower not of this world. Sightings of this flower were so numerous that in Bulgaria, women who call themselves experts of the mystical arts, witches go into the forests at dawn during midsummer, hoping to find and pick this flower. Reports of seeing this otherworldly flower have also come from Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, where people venture into forests during summer solstice, hoping they might see or gather it again, as a sign of a flower from another realm. In Poland, Romania, and Sweden, girls wear flower crowns. In the Baltic Sea, flowers are thrown into the water in memory of that mysterious flower, which people once saw blooming near hidden gates. In Slovenia, girls watch the midsummer sun rise through the center of their flower crowns, hoping the magical flower will appear again in their land. In Norway, girls place flowers under their pillows, so they can at least see it in their dreams. A flower believed to appear on this unique day in sync with the sun's journey. Investigating the origin of these floral traditions will take you back centuries. to a time when people believed that on this day, a gate to another world opened, and they caught the first glimpse of it in the form of its flowers. And even today in Europe, a festival is celebrated on this very day, commemorating that visitation through the symbolic display of flowers. As you can see, the cultures of our world have been influenced by this concept of gates for thousands of years. Centuries ago, people claimed to glimpse what lay beyond those gates, a glimpse of another world, and that vision continues to influence culture to this day, especially through the Midsummer Festival. But stay with me on this journey, because things are about to get even stranger. Do you remember I said that apart from flowers, another custom of midsummer is the lighting of huge bonfires? What do these bonfires have to do with those mysterious gates of fire? Let me tell you about the attempts to capture that flower. Ancient texts mention that when the earth and sun align in a specific position, a gate briefly opens, and through it, this flower becomes visible. But acquiring it isn't easy, because it is guarded by non-human entities, creatures, that sometimes enter our world to protect the flower. How much truth there is to this? Only someone who has actually seen those gates open can say for sure. But those who believe in the visitation of this other world and its mystical flowers firmly believe in this. Now let me tell you about the bonfires. People often say the fire is lit in memory of the fire of St. John, a disciple of Jesus, peace be upon him. But that's not the case. This fire ritual predates Jesus by over 2,000 years. And this practice isn't limited to one or two places, it's global. On June 24th, massive midsummer bonfires are lit in Canada, and on June 23rd in Croatia and Herzegovina, where it is called Sveti Ivanjak. People light enormous bonfires and dance around them. In Denmark and Estonia, this tradition is known as Sankt Hans or Janapeev, sometimes involving animal sacrifices, though today they offer herbs, milk, wine, perfumes, and cooked food into the fire instead. This ritual is known as the Romova ceremony. In the year 1016, a Russian text titled the Novgorod Chronicles mentions that for over 1,000 years, Slavic people have celebrated a pagan festival called Kupala Night, where they light fires in cemeteries. This same tradition has continued for centuries in Ukraine. And you might be surprised to learn that in Iran, a similar festival called Tirgan is celebrated. A local version of midsummer involving fire. Imagine this, a massive bonfire blazing and newlywed couples riding white horses down a mountain. In Chaldi, a city in Lythia, something even more surreal happens. On the night of June 24th at 3 a.m., people dress as brides, ignite a giant fire, and dash through the streets in full bridal attire. And yes, the police are there, not to stop them, but to protect them. This isn't a medieval reenactment or some ancient folklore. This is happening right now in the 21st century. In some places alongside these fiery displays, people still walk across flames or leap over them. Take Russia, for example. While girls float flowers down rivers, boys leap through fire. In Bulgaria, walking on burning coals, what they call nestinarstvo, is still a living tradition. But what does fire have to do with these mysterious doors? I told you, those who saw the flowers also saw beings, guardians of some kind, sometimes even descending into our world to protect those flowers. To shield themselves from these entities, people have been lighting grand fires for millennia. They'd ignite flames as these beings approached. The fire kept them away, protecting humans. Similarly, during midsummer, when the sun and earth align just right and those invisible doors open, people have reported sightings, beings appearing in floral forms. To protect them, bonfires were lit. That ancient ritual, it lives on today in the form of global midsummer festivals. What's fascinating is how fire, more than any other element, has been revered across civilizations. Ancient Europeans saw fire as sacred, as a living force, a protector, a bringer of light in the darkest of times. Zoroastrianism, one of the oldest religions on earth, also worshipped fire. In India, the Vedic age, about 2,500 years ago, marked the beginning of fire worship, and their ancient fire ritual, Agnihotra, still continues today. Ghee is offered to the flames while facing the sun, symbolizing the doorway the sun opens and the beings that pass through it. Yes, fire wasn't just sacred, it was protection. In ancient Rome, the goddess Vesta's sacred flames were worshipped for generations. In Judaism, fire represents God's presence. According to Jewish scripture, Prophet Moses saw the burning bush on Mount Sinai and spoke to God. That's why a holy flame has burned for 1,000 years in Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And in Christianity, fire continues to symbolize divinity, reflected in candlelight. But there's a deeper reason why fire has been so revered. Ancient belief holds that all of creation is made of 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire. Yet fire stands apart. It can't be dirtied. Water can be polluted. Soil can rot. Air can be fouled. But fire purifies. No matter what you throw into it, fire consumes and cleanses. And there's another thing that sets fire apart. Water flows down. Air settles. Earth stays grounded. But fire rises. It climbs skyward, reaching toward the heavens, toward the mysterious gates. Those massive bonfires may have been beacons, either to fend off those beings or to summon them. Perhaps they were even keys to open the gates. But that's a mystery for another time. What we do know is that the movement of the sun and earth is connected to 4 powerful festivals. When the sun and earth align, doors, cosmic ones, open and close. And this isn't limited to the summer solstice. Evidence of it appears on 3 other days as well. One of the most significant is the winter solstice, when the earth tilts away from the sun. That's why December 21st becomes the shortest day and the longest, darkest night. And this celestial moment has been acknowledged for thousands of years. But how did ancient people recognize it? If you study their stories, you'll spot clues, signs that they knew doors were opening. Iranian legends say that on December 21st, earth and sun align just right, and that night, Ahriman, the dark force in their dualistic religion, crosses into our world through a cosmic gate, which is why families were told to stay close that night. It led to the celebration of Shab-e-Yalda, an ancient Iranian festival where friends and family gather, feast, and read poetry from Shahnameh and Hafez Shirazi. Hafez wasn't just a poet, he was a Sufi, and people would divine their future from his verses. The festival is also called Shab-e-Chela, where people perform fortune-telling because mythology says all doors are open that night and nothing stays hidden. Even al-Biruni mentioned all of this in the 10th century. He wrote that during Shab-e-Yalda, people prepare 40 different foods, especially red ones like pomegranates and watermelons, because red symbolizes danger and unusual energy. Yalda is a night where 2 worlds meet, and on December 23rd, the Romans celebrated their own festival, Saturnalia, at the temple of the god Saturn, with one strange ritual. They would bind Saturn's statue's feet in wool, but on December 23rd, they'd untie it, a symbolic gesture of release. They believed Saturn, a being from another realm, would walk freely into our world through a gate. Unbinding the wool meant unleashing him. Saturn, the planet, was imagined to roam a terrifying otherworld, wearing a cosmic ring. But do you want to hear about another winter solstice festival, one even older, involving sacred offerings? The same sun that opens these gates also governs the 12 months, represents the 12 zodiac signs, and is central to Hinduism's 12 sacred mantras. Ancient Egyptians also painted the sun into every depiction of their goddesses. They believed those goddesses were beings descended from the sun, like the powerful goddess Wadjet. That ancient festival was called Sol Invictus, Unconquered Sun, and that's how Christmas celebrated on December 25th began. Over time, Jesus replaced the sun in this tradition. The 12 months and zodiac signs were replaced by the 12 apostles. The ancient beings named Sekhmet and Menhit, who were believed to descend through cosmic gates in Egypt, were replaced by the modern Christmas visitation. The Christmas tree became the symbolic substitute for that visitation. You can now see how June 21st and December 21st, the solstices shaped cultures around the world. Only God knows who first witnessed the opening and closing of these gates when the sun and earth aligned. Whoever they were, Their glimpses of those other worlds inspired them to build entire cultures around those cosmic events. Even today, traces of Sun-Earth alignments are visible globally. But so far, I've only discussed solstices, when the Earth is either fully tilted towards or away from the Sun. The summer solstice is when the sun stays up for the longest time. Some cities don't even experience night, like Murmansk in Russia, Bodø in Norway, and Rovaniemi in Finland. They get 24 hours of daylight just once a year. On the other hand, the winter solstice is when daylight is shortest, giving us the longest, darkest, and most peaceful night. But I also mentioned two other important days, March 20th and September 23rd, when Earth stands upright, and day and night are exactly equal. These are the equinoxes from the Latin words equus, equal, and nox, night. On these days, both poles of the Earth receive sunlight for just 4 hours. These are the only 2 days when the sun stands highest in the sky, and when shadows disappear completely at the equator. These are unique moments when both hemispheres are equally lit. But are there festivals connected to these equinox gates? Almost every culture celebrates something around these dates. Even in Pakistan, the March equinox marks the beginning of harvest season, known as Basant in the Iranian calendar. This is celebrated as Nowruz, the Persian New Year. The day determines the date, but no festival is ever entirely innocent or simple. Not every equinox festival is fair in its origin. The history of the equinox festival takes you back 4,000 years to Babylon, where people began their new year with the March equinox. Here's something fascinating. According to Babylonian belief on the equinox, their goddess Nana would descend through a gate to Earth. They even built a famous blue gate, still known today, to represent that passage. This was the famous Ishtar Gate, which Babylonians passed through during equinox celebrations, eventually reaching a temple dedicated to Nana. It was a symbolic representation of her descent. Similarly, in Norse mythology, there's an equinox festival called Disablat, celebrated long before Jesus. It involved a ritual where they offered women's blood to beings believed to descend from above. But let me tell you something truly fascinating. If you think these are just old beliefs from a time before modern technology, when humans were superstitious, you're absolutely mistaken. Because now I'm going to take you beyond Europe and the rest of the world, into a mysterious and vast land still hiding many secrets, the dense jungles of Asia and South America.